Hey guys, it's Riser Arkin, or at least that's what I go by for a lot of my gamer tags. I'm today going to show you the interactions, or at least a hand test, with this Invoked Dogmatica Shadal Litch craziness. So let's go ahead and let's get a really good shuffle in. We're going to go ahead and hard shuffle this thing to death. Now, like I was saying before, and I'm actually going to release these as two different videos, but I'm going to release them, I think, both on the same day. The reason being is because the first video was actually a lot longer than I anticipated, and this video is probably going to be long as well. And we're going to go into just turn one turns, because the thing is with this deck is you set up a board. You can go second with this. The reality is you probably want to go first with this deck. Give it a cut. Okay, so there is kind of like one combo that you can do. Alistair, Feather Duster, Conquistador, Ecclesia, and Super Poly. So this is kind of what I was talking about. Now, obviously, if they have a negate on board, you're kind of not going to be able to do much, but you do have interaction here. So if we were going first, we do Alistair to go into Makaba, and then we summon Ecclesia to get Fleur-de-Lis, which was my most prevalent combo in the entire tournament that I did. So the way that looks, and if we were going second, I would be using the Super Poly based on what they had, and we have a Magical Meltdown going second. So it would be Magical Meltdown to bait the Ash or the negate in order to then go into Alistair. But we don't have that luxury going first, so you just have to hope. So if you go into Alistair from here, playing Alistair the Invoker, we can then search the deck in order to get out our invocation. And this is one of the most common things. It's funny, everyone does it now. I came up with it on my own. Jonathan swears that he told me about it, but I swear up and down that I've always been linking Alistair to go into Mood Maiden on my own accord. But, you know, I'm not going to pass it by that I haven't been doing that. By linking that off and having Alistair engrave, we can abuse Invocation in order to banish these two to go into Makaba, which now gives us our negate/banish ability. Now, for the rest of the turn, we won't be able to go into our extra deck because we will be special summoning Ecclesia. Now, Ecclesia's ability will activate because there is a monster from the extra deck on the field. We can special summon her and grab another Dogmatica card. So, with that said, this is where I go into Fleur-de-Lis. And you could go into Maximus here in order to go into a Shadal play to stop them from summoning things. But we don't have an extra deck monster in the graveyard to do that. So Fleur-de-Lis would be a better play. And this is what I very commonly did, because I don't mind if they combo off. What I mind is the interactions in order to stop them from killing me. Now, because... Oh, why do I have Raijin on the field? I'm sorry. That's supposed to be Mechaba. Why was Raijin there? That was a blooper. Now, because Mechaba's on the field, Fleur-de-Lis can actually go ahead and special summon himself out. So the interaction is he can actually say no to any one of a extra deck monsters activations, and then he gives all Dogmaticas a 500 attack boost. So in some instances, this could be game if your opponent doesn't have anything to stop it, because it's almost enough attacking power when you recur Invocation using its ability to shuffle it back into your deck to bring Alistair back into your hand, which was actually a thing I did a lot in order to banish Alistair after giving one of my fusion monsters an attack boost in order to go into my Schism play. So I wasn't banishing all of my Shadal options right out of the graveyard. And then I would further it by doing my one last special summon, you know, because Winda. That is the most common thing I did during the tournament in order to help control the board. And I do have one of each type to stop. So I could stop a monster, I could stop a spell, I could stop a trap. He banishes them. So that was actually a really good hand. And again, the most common thing I did. Now, Ecclesia, I want to be clear with all the Dogmatica cards. After you activate their effects, because this one, if a monster special summon from the extra deck is on the field, you can special summon this card from your hand. From here, if this card is normal or special summoned, you can activate this effect. Add one Dogmatica from your deck to your hand, except for Ecclesia the Virtuous. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn. So, using her effects locks you out of the extra deck. If you're going to use the Dogmatica engine, you can't do anything else. Let's do another hand test. It's probably going to end up honestly being about the same. There are other interactions, like using Nadir's Servant in order to get out Schism, using Maximus in order to get out Schism. Again, this deck kind of builds as you go. It's all about getting that first turn control. I did go second several times, but I usually sided. Let's see what kind of hand we get. Because, again, this deck is very... It's not proactive as much as it is reactive. I mean, you saw the proactive play. And it's probably going to be very much the same. Invocation, Litch the Golden Lord. Okay, Red Eyes Black Dragon, Conquistador of the Golden Land, and Terraforming. So, let's say... Because going first, honestly, at this point, it would be set and go. Or activate Terraforming, and then do the Macabre play. If we were going second, yeah, it would be the same thing as the first. So it's literally just Terraforming to hopefully get to your Magical Meltdown, and if not, then, you know, we don't have a whole lot of much that we can do except maybe using Eldritch. Now, one thing I do like to do, let's say this is a going second hand. This is how I like to use my Magical Meltdown. First, I'm going to activate Terraforming in order to attempt to get my Magical Meltdown. We're going to say that we're going second, and they have a board established. Okay, and let's say we don't get negated this first go, which some people will let the Terraforming go. I'll activate Magical Meltdown, or they just don't always have the Ash, in order to add to hand Alistair the Invoker, Now from here, I totally will. Alistair to grab. Invocation. And then the second verse is the same as the first. So, Alistair, we're just going to have a different monster to bring out the second time around. Into Artemis the Moon Maiden. We will then... Oh wow, we have 2 invocations. Invoke Alistair and Moon Maiden. Into, and I swear I'll pull him out this time correctly. Makaba. Hey, I didn't mistake him for Raijin. From here, we can, and we do have another invocation. We have one engrave. We can recur those. So we're going to take a look and see what they have on the field and pop it. And by doing so, we can actually pop Magical Meltdown. It's done its job to recur Litch back to our hand to summon him. That doesn't lock us into zombies. It's all the traps that lock us into zombies. Dogmatica Ecclesia will special summon herself in order to... I mean, it's just what it is. Fleur-de-Lis. Fleur-de-Lis, which will special summon himself out here. Now, we're locked out of our extra deck, but we now have 2 negates on board. And, if you remember correctly, we have Conquistador of the Golden Land right here in our hand. So we can set that. So the interaction then would go, and now we're still just with Red Eyes Black Dragon in hand. But let's recur Alistair in order to get back one of our invocations to the deck. Now, unfortunately, we have only 2 monster negates. We have no spell negates, but we do have a pop on the field. So, now in hand, we have Alistair Red Eyes. We do want to try to keep the Red Eyes. We don't want to try to draw into Dark Magician. As a matter of fact, on our next turn, we'll probably be linking these away for Predaplant in order to go into. And the reason why we would link away our Ecclesia is because we have a second one in the deck that we can grab out. We could link away Fleur-de-Lis and then draw into our second Ecclesia, but the thing is, he's stronger. Even though without Ecclesia he can't raise himself up to 3,000, it's still a 2,500 attacking monster. So, our second turn, it would be, negate, send Alistair, negate, I don't want you to do that with your special summon monster, pop, because we have Golden Boy. Right? So then, on our next turn, we have an Alistair. We can go for game, right here, and go into Dragoon. So, that's kind of the interactions with this deck. It's really, I'm not going to say it's touch and go, it's something I don't normally do, which is paint by number, and that's something that I'm trying to learn to do, be a little less free form with everything in order to, win, I guess. I like decks that have multiple outs to stuff. That's why I do put in such weird tech choices. Let me see, because again, the deck builds, and if you get a Nadir Servant, you're almost guaranteed to go into a Winda right away. And again, that combo is kind of difficult. We're going to do one more hand test, see what it does for us. I would like to show you the Shadal combo. But I don't know if we'll be able to get to it in just one hand, unfortunately. And I only did it to one person. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, unfortunately, this is kind of more or less more Alistair dependability. Which isn't bad. Going first, we would, bait it. We would try to do Magical Meltdown. Hopefully that goes through. Going second, we have Schism. So, I mean, this is what I would try to do, is use Magical Meltdown. If they shut this down, we can use 2 blockers and build a wall, but that's not the most effective way to use these cards. However, that's what we would have. So, this is actually kind of a crappy hand, but as you can see, Alistair is kind of our one really consistent small engine that we have for the deck. So even though we don't see the Shadal plays as much as I would like to, the real only one Shadal play that you do is, sending App Cologne off of Nadir Servant in order to add Schism to hand to send Schism, or in some cases you can send another card. I will send Litch before I send Schism, and then you can actually use Alistair in Grave to go into Winda. But if you can't, and if Schism's the only thing in your hand, or it's the only optimal thing to throw away, using Maximus, you can send El Shadal Construct to get to the Schism. And this is where I would make that play, and I'd be literally tossing away my Selene. And that was the last thing I wanted to do. Instead of throwing away Selene, I ended up throwing in, just this morning, Elder Entity Natis in order to have that extra pop. But you can do it. It is, it does come up. It's not as consistent as I'd like it to be because, Nadir Servant, there's nothing to search it. Maximus, however, can be searched out with Fleur-de-Lis, and that's literally, once you grab Maximus with Fleur-de-Lis, it is send Shadal Construct, App Cologne, Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, grab Schism, send it to the graveyard, recur Schism. Now you literally have all you need for Winda. So that is the play with that. And Ecclesia gets you to that. So that is a play that you can do in order to control their summoning rate. And that's if you really need to. So I didn't show you that combo. I could have done it. I feel that the Fleur-de-Lis combo is a little bit better when you're going first. I could be wrong. Now, if you do have someone that spams the field, I should have done it against Dinos. That did go to game 3. But that's enough of my rambling, guys. Let me know if you want to see more decks like this in the future. I am going to be building another Dark Magician deck, I know. I, too, love nostalgia. Just saying. But until then, guys, your move.